Beneath the vast frozen wilderness where the white silence blankets the earth, a sinister chapter unfolds. Here wanders a solitary polar bear, its once glorious coat now marred by a grotesque testament to nature's darker side, a festering wound thick with writhing snakes. The sight is both mesmerizing and repellent, an eerie dance of serpentine invaders ensnaring the majestic beast in a nightmarish embrace. This is no ordinary injury. This is an infestation of such nightmare-tinged horror that it haunts the very edges of survival itself. Imagine the polar bear, apex predator of the Arctic, reduced to a host for these slimy, squeezing creatures. The snakes twist and constrict around its flesh, their bodies glistening with moist scales against raw, reddened flesh. The wound, a gaping maw of decay, pulsates with the slithering mass, spores of infection gleaming beneath the fragile skin margins as the venomous invaders feast and breed. Such infestations result from a rare yet devastating collision of ecosystems. Warmer climes infiltrate the Arctic's ice grip, drawing serpents into the polar bear's territory, where traditional parasitic threats become macabre symbiotic horrors. Biologically, this infestation defies simple categorization. The snakes are both parasite and predator, feeding off the bear's blood and dying tissue, patchy fur. The cold does little to stave off their advance. These snakes have adapted with subtle antifreeze proteins in their blood, slipping quietly beneath frostbitten layers, impervious to the bite of Arctic chill. In the heart of the African savanna, a sight unfolds that is both mesmerizing and grotesque. There, amidst the golden grasses and acacia trees, a magnificent white lion lies. At first glance, one might marvel at its unusual ethereal beauty. The white fur glistens under the harsh sun, radiating a sense of otherworldly grace. But upon a closer look, this illusion of splendor swiftly dissipates. The splendor gives way to horror, as the viewer is confronted with a gruesome sight that captures the dichotomy of nature, the sheer brutality of survival painted against a backdrop of grace. The lion, a king in its own right, is now a victim, caught in a merciless web woven by the unrelenting forces of nature. What the unsuspecting observer may not realize is that this majestic creature is wrestling with a disturbing infestation, a nightmare brought to life by an army of ravenous insects. A horrific wound festers on its flank, a grotesque invitation to a world of creeping, crawling terrors. The open sore, large and putrid, is a banquet for flies, each one more voracious than the last. They swarm around the wound, their tiny bodies glistening with the promise of decay. Marching in droves like an army descending upon a vulnerable fort, the sheer scale of the infestation is staggering. Thousands of insects converge, transforming the seemingly noble creature into a canvas of horror, where the vivid red of blood mixes disturbingly with the pale fur. As we delve deeper into this unsettling tableau, we uncover the scientific intricacies of insect behavior and ecology. What story do these insects tell? Each fly, ant, and beetle serves a purpose in the grand tapestry of life's design, often seen as mere nuisances to mankind. The reality, however, is that these fearless little architects of decay play a crucial role in the cycle of life and death. They come equipped with a startling arsenal of biological prowess. Some lay their eggs in the flesh of hosts, where wriggling larvae beneath the murky surface of the Amazon's winding waterways lurks a creature both majestic and grotesque, a giant serpent that commands awe, the anaconda. But today, we peer beyond its legendary strength and eerie silence to confront an unsettling truth. This mighty predator bears the marks of a sinister infestation, a living horror story etched into its scales. Imagine a gaping wound on its massive body, festering with parasitic invaders that burrow deep beneath the flesh. These parasites are not simple hitchhikers. They are relentless invaders, turning the anaconda's robust body into a breeding ground for decay and disease. The sight alone is enough to unsettle even the most stoic observer. A deep, oozing lesion festooned with writhing larvae and tiny leech-like creatures, their suckers affixed greedily to the serpent's flesh, draining its life slowly, imperceptibly. This grotesque tableau forces us to confront a dark facet of nature, a battlefield where predator and parasite engage in a grim and intimate dance. The parasites in question are a diverse cadre of organisms, blood-sucking copepods that anchor themselves amidst the scales, botfly larvae boring through flesh to feed and grow, and microscopic protozoans that invade from within, silently wreaking havoc. The anaconda's wound is a reservoir of rot, an infection, a hub for secondary bacterial invasions that cause swelling, discoloration, and a fetid discharge that taints the surrounding water. The snake skin around the wound is thickened and blackened, a morbid patchwork of raised scars and inflamed tissue, testament to the prolonged assault it has endured. The parasite's relentless feeding causes anemia, weakness, and open doors for further pathogens, undermining the anaconda's formidable health. These parasites are masters of invasion. Copepods find hiding places beneath overlapping scales, locking on with their specialized mouthparts, while botfly larvae slip through. In the dim shadows of a forgotten forest floor, a creature lies writhing in pain, a dog caught in the merciless grip of nature's darker underbelly. Its body is marred by a ghastly wound, a grotesque tapestry of torn flesh and serpentine claws. This is no ordinary injury, but the result of a snake infestation, a nightmare stitched together by the scales and fangs of invaders that have turned this poor animal's life into a living purgatory. The scene is a cruel theater where decay and survival collide, where the fragile boundary between victim and parasite dissolves in venom-soaked agony. The dog's wound, raw and swollen, reeks of infection, an open gateway inviting serpents to nest and multiply within its flesh. The snakes are no random trespassers. They are specialized invaders, small, limbless scavengers that find shelter in the warm, moist environment of the dog's festering tissue. Here, amidst the rot, they burrow and coil, their slick bodies secreting enzymes that dissolve tissue, making way for their proliferation. The skin around the wound is mottled dark purple and yellow, swollen beyond recognition, pulsing with the grotesque rhythm of infestation. Tiny serpents slither in and out of the torn skin, their cold bodies an unwelcome contrast to the dog's feverish, agonized whimpers. On a microscopic level, the infestation reveals a stunningly brutal cycle of life. Serpent larvae hatch inside the wound, feeding on necrotic tissue, and, horrifyingly, living cells alike, thriving on the dog's suffering as biological reclamation agents in a perverse ecosystem. This snake infestation exemplifies a phenomenon rarely witnessed, a parasitic takeover, where the host becomes both transport and food. The dog's immune system wages a death. In the shadowy, rugged mountains of Central Asia, where nature's grandeur meets its grotesque truths, resides the elusive snow leopard. This majestic creature, known for its breathtaking beauty, is shrouded in a mystery that is both captivating and chilling. Picture a creature so powerful, yet so vulnerable, that a parasitic flower has found its host. This flower, with its twisted tendrils, burrows deep into the leopard's flesh, forming a wound that is as horrific as it is fascinating. The vibrant colors of the flower, a grotesque beacon against the stark, cold fur, tell a story of life and death intertwined in nature's cruel tapestry. The wound, festering and pulsating, serves as a grotesque reminder of how the lines between predator and prey can blur as nature claims its due on even the mightiest of beings. Yet, the snow leopard's plight doesn't end there. As it traverses the rugged terrain, it may also find itself grappling with an even more. Beneath the shimmering glare of the African sun, a zebra grazes quietly at first glance, its striking black and white stripes a camouflage woven by nature's hand, promising resilience and grace amidst the savanna's brutal landscape. Yet, what lies upon this creature's hide burrows far deeper than simple survival. It is a grotesque tableau of decay and despair enacted by relentless tiny marauders. A raw, festering wound tears through the zebra's flank, a crater of ruptured flesh, an oozing infection where millions of diminutive insects have converged, transforming living skin into a grisly battleground. This is not just injury, it is a macabre epic of parasitic conquest, an unspoken horror flourishing beneath the rule of nature's smallest scavengers. The wound is an open invitation, a fleshy banquet for flies, maggots, lice, and other arthropods whose appetites are as ravenous as the savanna's predators at dusk. Flies swarm in chaotic spirals, landing endlessly on the exposed raw meat, their tiny legs brushing against sensitive nerve endings, injecting eggs that hatch into maggots, hungry for decomposing tissue. These writhing larval masses burrow beneath the surface, corroding living cells and festering the tissue into a putrid swamp of death and decomposition. The air around the zebra is thick with the acrid stench of infection, a sour mix of decayed blood, sweat, and the silent hum of relentless wing beats. This scenario, repulsive as it may seem, is a stark narrative of life's harsh, unforgiving cycle, where survival often depends on cost, and suffering is woven into the fabric of existence. The insects infesting the zebra's wound represent a complex interplay of ecological rules. Flies, those tiny agents of death and renewal, facilitate the breakdown of organic matter, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem, while inadvertently tormenting their host. Certain lice cling stubbornly to the zebra's mane and nearby skin, feasting on blood and skin flakes, their presence irritating and distracting the already weakened animal. Ticks, those blood-sucking vampires, latch onto less damaged areas, transmitting pathogens that compound the zebra's misery with illness. Each insect species plays its evolutionary part, a lifeline for their survival earned through parasitism and fermentation of decay. But the real horror lies not just in the visible corruption, but in the biological war waging beneath. Bacteria and fungi invade in symbiotic alliance with the insects, accelerating tissue necrosis and infecting the zebra's bloodstream. This internal invasion triggers fever, weakness, and physical frailty, degrading the animal's ability to flee predators or fend off attackers.